After what they describe as failure by successive government to revamp the Kokofu Government Hospital, the Traditional Council has decided to take on the hospital's needs by themselves. The overlord of Kokofu, Barima Ofiakwesi Okoje-Siayo II, and his sub-chiefs embarked on a self-help initiative to rehabilitate the Kokofu Government Hospital and also improve other health facilities in the area, just to make sure it improves health delivery. And now he wants government to also concentrate on improving the existing health facilities rather than constructing new ones. Nana Sensu Mensah has more in this report.
40-bed capacity Kokofu Hospital, one of the few facilities specializing in the treatment of various types of skin diseases, is in dire need of space. Since its inception, the facility has seen very little in terms of facelift. It is bedeviled with inadequate staff bungalows as health personnel commute from Kumasi and neighboring communities to work on daily basis. Kokofu Manhene Barima Ofiakwesi Okoje-Siayo II and his sub-chiefs have started a self-help initiative to improve conditions there. During the handing over of surgical materials and other logistics to the hospital, he urged government to complete abandoned hospital projects.
Successive governments have been playing politics with hospital projects. The Bekwai Hospital project began during the time of former President Afrifa. President Kufuor did his bit, and former President Mills came to continue but couldn't finish. Now President Akufo-Addo has assured to complete the project. Clearly, partisan politics is at play. Let's ignore the politics and help ourselves to ensure quality health care for our people.
The
self-help initiative is spearheaded by natives of Amansia in diaspora and supported by Kokofu Traditional Council. Medical Superintendent Bernard Enimakoto describes the gesture as timely.
Barima Ofiakwesi Okoje-Siayo has been very instrumental since I came here as a medical superintendent. He has shown a lot of interest in the development of the hospital in the terms of its well-being. He even calls you when he hears anything from any patients to actually help you address it. He's been helping. We have a new maternity and theater block which he initiated with his kinsmen, and we have actually pushed it to fruition and completion. He comes here regularly. He is even actually embarking on a new project to update the old administration and actually trying to help them put one or two together. So the few bungalows out there are shared to critical staff, meaning those people who are, everybody is important, but the anesthetist, the theater, the midwife, and the lab, the laboratory, and those people are actually occupying, and the doctors who actually, but we need more.
Nana Sensu Mensah reporting.
A group of assembly members in Walewale in the Northeast region have blocked the commencement of operation of a water supply project that is to provide some 35,000 gallons of water daily to residents and also end the perennial water shortages and also improve sanitation in the area. Now they accuse the contractor of carrying out a substandard and shoddy work. Correspondent Ilyas Utanko has the rest of the story.
The project was constructed as part of a larger water supply initiative by the NPP government through a loan facility from the World Bank to provide clean and safe drinking water for the people in and around the three major towns of Nalirgu, Gambaga, and Walewale. In spite of several delays, the project was said to have been completed in March this year. However, it has since become a white elephant after the assembly members rejected it, saying it's unfit for operation. Assemblyman for Kukwazugu electoral area, Seydou Gaziri Kamal, has been explaining to Joy News the rationale behind their rejection of the project.
Because of water, and if they are suffering because of all these things, what we are going to do? The best thing for you to do is to put some, as scrupulous contractors into their tools. Because the government of the day is struggling day in, day out to meet the developmental needs of the people. Now, the question is, was the contract about standpipes? We need to ask ourselves that question. If it was about standpipes, then the terms and agreement of the contract should be spelled out so that we know. Me, I will not sit down and allow anyhow contractor to come into Walawale Township and turn the image of the ruling government. I will not take it. We need to call the contractor in question, wherever at all he is. We can be whoever. He should be able to come and answer questions to that effect. And that was why I took it upon myself that as a people representative, I will not sit down and allow shady job to be done in this area.
The assemblyman served a caution that the community was ready to go on demonstrations against the municipal assembly authorities if it should go ahead to accept the project from the contractor.
Not allowing any contractor to hand over this thing because of the COVID-19 thing. That's why we've been patient for far long. Now we are being told that the hardworking president of the Republic of Ghana that we need to, we don't need to gather more than 100. So I sat down and I demarcated the area. If you take this particular lane, you see this line here, this route linking to that end, it comes here. There's another one to go this way. So what I'm going to do is that we will take 100 from this territory here. You get it? So 100 will come from this area.
In other news, the Ministry of Finance says Ghana's economy is expected to perform better in this COVID-19 pandemic era than several other economies worldwide. Speaking to journalists at a post-mid-year budget review statement workshop, the director at the ministry, Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu, said the economy will see a modest 0.9% growth in 2021, and that, he says, is better than many other economies which are recording negative growth rates.
We have a very important indicator we use to measure the health of the economy, which is the GDP, or the gross domestic product. And so all of these, when we did that calibration, has impacted in us revising our 2020 GDP from the 6.8% that we originally programmed to the 0.9%. So that's where the 0.9% is coming from. But if you compare our GDP performance in terms of the impact on COVID, I think we are doing pretty much better than, from, both the globe and then sub-Saharan Africa. For example, in the global environment, we are looking at GDP growth actually contracting by 4.9% by end of 2020. Contraction means negative growth. So whilst Ghana, we are talking about a modest positive growth of 0.9%, the global environment or global growth will contract by 4.9% or would grow by a negative 4.9%. Sub-Saharan Africa growth will contract by 3.2% and ECOWAS by 2.9%, and these are estimates of the IMF. And this revised estimate came out June update or revision. Now, so how has government weathered the storm, or how is government looking at mitigating the impact of the COVID-19? So what government is doing basically is to put in place measures to protect lives and also to protect livelihoods. In terms of protection of lives, I've already talked about border closures, closure of schools, partial lockdown, restrictions on public gatherings, the 3 T's, which are the tracing, testing, and treatment, World Health Organization and Ministry of Health protocols or mitigation measures, the provision of financial clearance for staff of about 25,000 to help augment health sector workers in terms of their work relief. Have also been provided for health workers in terms of tax waivers and allowances. We've seen provision of health infrastructure intervention involving the construction of some district and regional hospitals. There's also sanitation and fumigation that is ongoing. Some of the measures that relate to protection of livelihoods include the reliefs that have been provided for households. For example, the hot meals and food packages that were provided during the lockdowns, partial lockdown in Greater Accra and other areas. And then release for businesses. We saw the CAPBAS program of about 600 million that was provided for small enterprises.
Well, that's it for the news, but we do have more news as we review the newspapers. Myself, Mama Bioso Abwaji, and Gifty Andwapia right here. Well, so it was a great event. That was a good one also by John Dramani Mahama's team adoring Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as running mates. And we'll bring you snippets of that event as well. And of course, we told you that Kojo Ansan has an interaction with Pamela Hoy, and I know that you're going to enjoy it as you stick and stay further. But look, we do have Gifty on stream. Gifty, good morning to you. Mama Vitu is here. Mama, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, Gifty and up here.
Hi, it's good to have you guys.
Yeah, you stayed up to watch the outdooring of Jane, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did. I was curious, and I wanted to find out how it goes, you know.
So how did it go for you?
Oh, it was okay. It was a bit long, with long speeches, but it was okay. I mean, it was interesting to see all of the politics play out all over again. Reminds me of 2016, but of course this is different. This is pretty different from 2016. So yeah, I do have a lot of interesting thoughts on my mind.
Yeah, it's just the comments about the policy statement that perhaps because of the release before, people were expecting that the prof was going to be presenting that statement. But I guess we all seem to forget that she's not the person on the ticket. Mainly, she's supporting John Dramani Mahama.
Well, I don't know. Yesterday, Kojo did indicate that he thinks that someone must have made a mistake by communicating that she was going to give us a policy or her policy statement, and that she wasn't. I don't also feel like she was actually going to give us policy statement because the former president, John Dramani Mahama, did something similar to the policy statement. So maybe if the person communicating it earlier said there was going to be a policy statement, but said that Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman was going to do it, maybe got it wrong. But I really don't have a problem at all with what she did. I think that it was her space. I don't know what people were expecting. Policy, if you're expecting a policy statement, I think you heard that in John Dramani Mahama's statement. I think she was just there to be herself, to tell Ghanaians what matters to her, and to present herself to everybody and say, hey, this is me. Open up her book and say, this is me. I don't know if you like it or not, but I want you to take an action to prove whether you like it. You know, I think that's what she came to do. And I think we should cut her some slack. I think there's still a lot of time. If you want a policy statement, you can get that from the John Mahama administration. But I guess that the expectation had been that, okay, so this is the female face that we haven't seen in a long time. This is the historic moment. And so we're expecting something. I think she went on and on. She made it a bit too long. And that sort of put people off a bit because they were like, okay, they were expecting to hear something. And you kept going on and on and on. And they never got that thing they were expecting. I think that's what has reduced, you know, what's the word? I think that's a sort of it took something out for people. But all in all, for me, I think it was her presenting herself, saying, this is me, and I think it's okay.
Yeah. Well, largely I agree with you, Gifty. Let's do the newspapers. Roland, you're like looking at the two of us. You go and look on the screen and then you come back and look at me. Is there something that you want to say?
No, I think for me, I'm not sure I ever thought maybe a vice presidential candidate or a running mate should be the one communicating policy. And I saw when they did the release, that aspect about the policy, I thought it was a bit. And I know that in our history, and actually in the history of many democracies, the running mate or the vice president do not go before their presidential candidates. And then even in the presidency, they kind of play second fiddle because you have to be careful how you play the nuances when it comes to the administration, the bureaucracy, and the politics of it, so that you don't tend to hurt the main man while trying to be yourself. It will create a sort of a clatter or a competition, in my opinion. So my mind was not there. I wanted to see who she was, how she was able to deliver before a crowd. of that nature, not the crowd there, because the crowd was a whole country really, and I thought that she did well. The speech may be long, but I think she tried to connect the dots, tried to be the Ghana woman, the Ghana mother, somebody who also knows the inside out of the country, and I thought for me that was it for me. The issues about policy, etc., I don't know how that was going to play out, because if I was the boss of the household, and you are rather telling me you're going to buy a fridge and you're going to do the house that we're supposed to build in a certain way without us consulting, then that becomes difficult.
Well, I guess, it was just the statement that was released that gave us those expectations. I do also agree. Yes, Gifty?
Sorry, if I may just chip this in. I listened to her, and I think that I got the sense that there were times that, I felt like she was talking to the Ghanaian that has become apathetic, the Ghanaian that has become very distrustful of the political system. Okay, so she kept saying that we shouldn't be here after so-and-so time. We shouldn't be here after we have seen this. We shouldn't be here after we have done that. I felt like, and this is the sentiment that you hear a lot of Ghanaians express when they say that, look, we thought that the NPP was coming to make a difference, but I have lost it. Oh, NDC, NPP, they are all the same. We have lost it. Oh, I'd rather not vote. I felt that was the constituency she was addressing yesterday. And I think she may have been able to convince some people, although she may have lost some people because of the stretch that she took to communicate this. She's not your typical politician, and so you wouldn't expect all the jabs. Maybe with time she might get into that, but I get the feeling that she is not looking to get there. She's looking to fit in for a certain group of people. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work for her, but that's how I felt.
Well, that's the same feeling I get, especially when you look back at when she was education minister. So I don't think she would necessarily get into the politics proper as we've seen it. Besides, she's a woman, and so she's also representing and trying to touch a certain group of people. We'll see how that goes. I mean, people have said the time that's remaining is not long enough. We will see how strongly.
And then I think that in the Fourth Republic in Ghana, we've seen a lot of controversies regarding the personalities of the vice president. And it's because they have ambitions beyond just the office that they hold. And I don't think that she's that particular person who has ambitions beyond. So if you compare her to, and I know many people are doing this, all of us do, and personally I have to Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia, I think, wants to be the president of Ghana one day. But if you take the persona and the way the posture of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is, that she wants to be the president, I don't think so. She wants to complement, fit into where there are empty spaces within the demographics of the voter population, the general population, that the John Mahama Jane Opoku-Agyeman ticket needs to appeal to. And that's just my view.
We wait to see. Let's do the newspapers. There are plenty other stories. This story actually features on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Join NDC to rebuild Ghana. Professor Opoku-Agyeman making that call. President inaugurates water projects at Yape. 2020 general election. Aspirants to file online, according to the Electoral Commission. Debate over which scams heightens. 4 more exists in Northern and Northeast. Book of condolence open for Dr. Doris Date by the Ghana Journalists Association. That's also in the paper today. Let's check how the center spread of the Daily Graphic. Here we go. Guess what's here? All right. Reduce transport first, a call by OPEC. And I got a hint that maybe by midday today, there will be some 10% reduction in transport first. Maybe not this morning, but by close of day today. That's what we are getting. The president inaugurating the water project for Yape. Details of that is in the center spread. And 2020 Emancipation Panifest celebration begins. On the back page, work starts on Old Tafo Pankrono bypass. Illegal miners invade Grill plantation. Youth foil police military eviction efforts. Let me continue with the Times front page. President begins 3-day working visit to 3 northern regions on COVID-19. Ghana's active case count drops from 3,349 to 3,307. Confirmed cases hit over 32,000.
Do we still have 3 northern regions? In fact, it's not even 3 northern regions. I mean, regions in the north, but do we still have 3? I don't know.
I think we have 5 now. Yeah, the northern Ghana regions have 5 now.
Yeah, but no, but the headline says he's visiting 3 northern regions.
Okay.
But the thing is,
so it didn't say
northern regions. We have 3. Okay, so it used to be that we had 3 regions in the north, because one was Upper West, one was Upper East. So right now we have more regions. So I just want to.
Yeah, I know. I think usually they'll qualify with an article there.
So
3. So this one
so
is just
there's
3.
no there. So it's just 3 out of.
Yeah. 3.
But still in the northern region, it says northern region benefits from nationwide disinfection exercise. And then on the voter registration, EC registers over 12 million in 4 weeks. Back page, Ablekuma West MP presents items to constituency. Ghana marks Emancipation Day. Gifty, come through with the Finder and the Dispatch.
Yes, please. So I've got the Finder newspaper. Let me start with the front page. I've got this on the front page. Well, they didn't really seem interested in the NDC. So the Finder banner headline, 11,443 to enjoy clean water. That story is on page 4, and it comes with a picture of President Akufo-Addo, doing the commissioning. It says, as President commissions Yape water system. I'm happy for the people of Yape that they have water. I hope that they own the project and make it work. And then right beside that story, we have exports to trigger swift recovery by end of 2020. That's according to Bank of Ghana. It comes with a picture of Dr. Ernest Addison. And then women lead men by 571,470 in voter registration. That's interesting. And that story is on page 2. An infectious disease center celebrating.
Only give to notice the women.
But of course, that's a lot more women have registered to vote. That's the point.
But we have more women in Ghana per the estimates from 2010.
But of course, the concerns have been that even though you have a lot of women, how many of them are going to vote as against men? So we are proving something here, brother. What's up? Okay.
except that many of the people who will grab the ID, the voter's ID card, will not use it necessarily as a tool to vote, but just to get an identity.
Yeah, it's up to the political parties to be able to convince them to cast a vote and to cast it for them. I don't know. I wish them well. Anyway, and so Infectious Disease Center celebrating patriotism and dedication. Page 7 and page 13 has that beautiful story. And it takes compassionate leadership to successfully manage COVID-19. That's Minister for Information on page 8. Kojo Opon Nkrumah is saying that. And then we have justice for murdered 90-year-old woman, crucial. That's according to the One Ghana movement. It is indeed crucial. And our correspondent, Eliasu Tanko, will be visiting, the area to bring us more from that particular story. But let me go through the inside pages of the Finder newspaper. So you have the details of the stories on the headline, but there's also the story about Primpa condemning attempt to stifle media freedom, and it promises to resist any future attempts. So that story is there on page 5 of the Finder newspaper. Then we have the details of the Yape water. I'm going to go in there a bit. I see women and children, carrying their pans and buckets and, forming up a queue to fetch water. It's pretty, it's a nice thing to see. I mean, I love rural development. When I see these things in the newspapers, I get excited. So let me finish the Finder newspaper with this. Page 8, it takes compassionate leadership. That story is there with a picture of Opon Nkrumah, the Minister for Information, and Nana Boakye MP, Anna Sir John, with donation to the needy at Sakura Wono. And that's the hometown of Sir John. May his soul rest in peace. Final back page of the Finder newspaper. ADB to hold 3rd annual general meeting, and President begins 3-day tour of northern regions. MTN Ghana to hold 2nd AGM virtually. So that's it for the Finder newspaper. I think I have the Dispatch. Mama V and Roland, should I go on with it?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, banner headline on the Dispatch newspaper. So the very beautiful picture of former President Rawlings, in his heydays. The story is working with Rawlings for 19 years. Some highlights by Kwamina Ahoy. That story is on page 11. And as of last Sunday, 12.3 million of possible 12.3 million had been registered, and that story is on page 12. It's coming from the Electoral Commission. So essentially, they tell us Dispatch is reporting the entire number, although the finder narrows it down to the number of women or the percentage of women that have registered. Victory for Mahama is certain. Kwame Ewa Dako is saying that. That story is on page 2 of the Dispatch newspaper. I'm going to go on with what else I have in the Dispatch newspaper. Yes, working with Rawlings. Okay, you have those details there. Oh, wow. Mr. Hoy, wow.
Mr. Hoy is on the AM show today because Kojang Singh had a sit-down conversation with him.
Amazing stuff. Okay, he looked really young here, I must say.
Are you blushing or smiling or are you crashing on? Is it Mr. Hoy or Mr. Rawlings?
Mama V. Okay, so Dispatch. Northern Regional Minister urges Ghanaians to obey COVID-19 protocols. Okay, we hear. And victory for Mahama is certain. That story is there. EC registers over 12 million. Okay, so it has essentially the details of the stories on the front page of the newspaper. Let me see what is on the back page. At least, as of last Sunday, okay, so it has the details of the EC stories there, and it gives you a breakdown of the number of people that have been registered. Take a look at this. I mean, from phase 1 to phase 4, it gives you the number of people that are registered. It looks like over 11 million. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, we'll see what more there is. So that's it for the Dispatch and the final newspaper as I have it here.
All right, Gifty, thanks a lot. Let's go to Roland.
Okay, so I have the Daily Guide, has on the front page, 4 million euro Eba scandal. Mahama brother snubs Amidu, has an attached picture of Martin Amidu and another of Samuel Adam Foster Mahama. And that's also on the front page. Northern Regional Minister bemoans COVID-19 breaches. Salifu Said is there. Mona Dodges contempt papers, and AG, that is the auditor, the Attorney General, opposite Domilevo leave injunction. I miss church, Nana. Well, we all do miss church too. Thank you for highlighting.
You haven't been going for the 1-hour service?
I do online.
But you're a Sunday school teacher, so how do you do it?
No, I stopped.
No, Roland teaches the children. You used to.
Yeah,
Did you stop because of COVID?
I stopped because of shutdown.
Way before COVID.
Okay. I just wondering.
Not way before. Oh, was idea no. Now, tiny person. Give to the. Okay, back page of the Daily Guide. The Des mentality, highest order, and this one is coming from, Swansea manager Steve Cooper, who has praised Ghana's captain Andrew Ayew for his exceptional mental toughness. He's tough. He doesn't have the best of heights, but he's always scoring with his head. And he has this strength. He's not the most skillful of players, not like his father, but he's always doing well. I like his mentality. Mourinho said to take Tottenham places. Yeah.
Where
He's been underwhelming, though.
How did they end the season?
Spurs? They drew 1-1 the other day. I haven't watched the table where they are.
Are they in the Europa? Are they playing Europa?
They're seventh. Yeah. I think I was looking out for Chelsea and whether Manchester City will fail, but it looked like our Juju was tied at the same Malam's place. So Nana gives female teams green light. And then Vardy, who plays for Leicester, oldest to grab golden boots. Well, there were two nil down, and they were defeated by Manchester United, of course. But he still grabbed what was his opportunity. But that'll be it, ladies.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Roland Walker. Well, I think we can have some 2 minutes, and then we can go to myjournline.com. So is there a story of interest that you want to highlight further beyond the NDC matter that I think we've extensively dealt with?
I mean, for me, basically, it was it. And then that was basically what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Because it was something we all monitored right here on Joy News.
Yeah.
And there was great analysis, of course, moderated by Evans Mensah and supported by the rest of the team, Kuji Yankson. We also had Winston. And then at the last wrap-up, we had MF also joining in. So that was a good one.
And then Parker, of course, on the ground.
And then Araba.
Yes. It's just the atmosphere. I think it's the political atmosphere. You think that COVID-19 has taken the politics away, but no. Just wait till there's a political activity, then you see the people who are interested. I was monitoring on Facebook. There are lots of people watching and then chatting alongside. So it generated a lot of conversations. Yeah, for a long time.
And you know, at the same time when this was happening, the president was up north. So it also, you had a lot of digs, especially from social media, from MPP communicators, and people who usually will tweet.
Well, okay. It was interesting the way the hashtag, was being pushed. It's him, not her. And yesterday, Evans has mentioned it as well. Some way, somehow, as I think around 8:30 thereabout, when I was still watching the show, that hashtag was trending. It's him, not her. It's like a deliberate attempt. Yeah, a deliberate attempt by the NPP to say that, okay, you're looking at this person that may not have debt on her, but we know someone else who has debt on him. So let's put the focus on him. It's him and not her.
Yeah.
And somehow that was, in at number one, I think, and John Mahama and co, or I think the NDC's program was somewhere at number 5 or so. I'm not sure what the trends are saying at the moment, but they did manage. I think that whoever is working with the social media for the MPP is doing a pretty good job. I hope that the NDC will be able to, look at it and say, okay, this is working, let's also counter it. Otherwise, it's their own political loss. But yeah, they know their job better. They should get on with it. But for many people, we know they've become apathetic. They've lost faith in the political system. They're not interested in going to queue up to vote because they feel like they're not seeing what they voted for.
Yeah.
I hope with the introduction of Jenano Pokwajima, the woman thing will work out for them somehow. But it's just a few months for us to see actually that. Mamavi, I'm also particularly interested in this story in Yape, what the president did.
The water projects.
Yes. I am, sometimes you see these stories and you can easily gloss over it, but it means a lot to these people that they have water, okay? And the things that they go through every single day of their lives, the children having to give, it becomes normal for them sometimes. But when you have this sort of intervention, you have clean water right at your doorstep, I think it means a lot to the people. And I am excited to see the pictures I'm seeing right now in the Finder newspaper. People, jumping up and down with their water. Okay, not jumping at that, it's a video. But I can tell the action in the pictures. I think it's a great start. It's unfortunate that in the 21st century, we have to be talking about this. I mean, water is basic. Everybody should have it.
Yeah.
But better late than never.
Absolutely.
So I hope it will be extended to other places where they need water too.
Just some 30 seconds on this story in the Daily Statesman. It's actually on the front page. DKM customers to get 100% payments. Details of that story is on page 2. And it says the customers of defunct DKM Diamond Microfinance will latest by next week receive 100% payments of all daily their locked up funds, according to the Statesman. This follows an agreement reached between the Ministry of Finance and the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. The agreement comes at the back of a request for fund put before the government by the receiver of the Collapsed Savings and Loans and Microfinance Institutions, Eric Nana Nipa. So that's the news from the Daily Statesman newspaper. I guess we'll have a lot more time sometime this week, at least before the Tuesday deadline that's been given to refund, give 100%, make 100% payment. Let's do myjoyonline.com if we can have a minute on myjoyonline.com to see what our page is reporting today. Roland?
Okay, so we have on myjoyonline.com. Next, NDC administration will pay customers of all these financial institutions. It says their money is locked up in the collapsed institutions, according to John Dramani Mahama. That's a policy statement, right? I think Jenano Pukwa should have been making that. according to the release.
It's mischievous.
Yeah.
It's not mischievous.
No, perhaps they could have given the speech, that part of the speech to her.
Yeah, there are a lot of things about.
If they communicated she was going to give a policy statement, and they knew that there could have been a proper coordination. But yeah, all in all, it doesn't spoil anything for me.
Gifty. Okay, so we'll go back to myjournline.com. Gifty, very vociferous this morning. What did you eat overnight? Full text of the Mahama speech is there. We also have full text of the speech of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, also on myjournline.com. Nana Opoku-Agyeman will give Baumi... Nana. I was not seeing one of these. Sorry. Nana Opoku-Agyeman will give Baumi a run for his money. Who also said that? I hope it's not Dr. Kobe Mensah.
Yes, that's the marketing strategist. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, unity, not personal glory, will win us the December election. I'm not the one saying that. Esedo Nketia said that yesterday. And then NDC honors and adores women, Ofosu Ampofo. Yeah. Okay, father, though, the sad, inflicts blade wounds on 4-year-old for taking chicken wings from fridge.
Did you see the cuts on the boy's hand, Roland?
Yeah, very horrid.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Deep cuts on the boy's hand.
I think some people just don't need to be parents because children,
So this 4-year-old reached out to get food and then got cuts.
I don't know.
As punishment.
Charlie.
But I agree with you.
Yesterday, the PR for the Accra Region Police sent that story through, and I think they're investigating the matter. And you look at the facial expression of the man. He's not even remorseful. I don't know if he was posing for the picture, but he doesn't seem remorseful.
Yeah. Well, that'll be it for our discussions this morning. Gifty and Apia, thank you for helping us as a helping mate, vice presidential candidate. We're putting in your place.
You'll be on the ballots with him. Except that you will be the candidate, Gifty.
No problem.
You.
Oh, no problem.
Of course, I'm Ghanaians proud.
Whether you are vice or president, what's that? Problem. Okay, Gifty and Apia, thank you very much. And that's where we have to take a break. But Richmond Yeboah, you're the PRO for the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly. This one is coming from your wife, Ophelia. Today's your birthday, and she says that she loves you with all her heart. And you also celebrate your anniversary as well of your marriage just a day or two ago, and that's a good one. Richmond, have a great time in Cape Coast. I'll come there, and then you give me some.
Gifty, tomorrow we will talk about how COVID is preventing some people from really celebrating their marriages elsewhere. But it doesn't sound like it's affecting Ghanaians because we are still doing the proper wedding and we're doing the after party and all of that. Yeah.
Of course, we know how to have fun. I just hope that we're taking care of ourselves whilst we are doing that, because you can do it safely. You can still do it safely, but you can also have, do it on a car park and have people come with their cars and park around.
Wow. Why do you have an event and wedding planning company? Because you're sober. Oh, we have to take a break. Or we come back a lot of sports.
There's some transfer gossip in the news in the world of football. Manchester United has just been rejected.
Timo Werner, Chelsea.
Benedict has all the details and all the gossip. Stay with us.
Hello, my name is Benedict Owusu. Welcome to the sports segment here on the AM show. In our very first story this morning. Now, the Ghana FA has been advised to take critical safety measures before getting the Black Maidens and the Black Princesses into camp. Now, President Akufo-Addo on Sunday announced that the two national teams can resume camping to prepare for their respective assignments. The Black Maidens have a FIFA Under-17 World Cup qualifier against Nigeria, while the Princesses prepare to take on Guinea-Bissau in a 2021 FIFA Under-20 World Cup qualifier in September. Now, CAF Medical Committee member Dr. Prince Pambo outlines key safety measures which the FA must put in place to ensure player safety.
So once you come in with a negative COVID test, and we said also you would have to do a pre-competition medical assessment. We'll check your blood works. We do an ECG for your heart, because we also know that if somebody has had COVID-19 and treated, if you don't check his heart well, these people might hide certain things that could make them more prone to suffering some cardiac events like a cardiac arrest. So we will check all these things. In camp, we're going to advise that these people not be paired in rooms, so they'll have to sleep in single rooms. We're also going to be probably setting up a COVID-19 task force within the camp, and this will include some of the players, the medical team, the kitchen staff, just to ensure that everybody follows camp rules as far as COVID-19 is concerned. There will be hand sanitizers all over the place. There will be Veronica buckets for hand washing. And of course, it's not only the players who will be tested, kitchen staff, support staff, bus drivers will all be tested for COVID-19. Visitation will be restricted, so you don't have people just going to camp and coming out anyhow. That will be very restricted. Movement will be very restricted. We're also going to ensure that if these players will have to move from one place to the other, we don't get them lumped into one bus like we used to do, but we'll get more than one big bus where there will be appropriate spacing. Every single day, the medical team will have to have interaction with every single player. So temperatures will be checked, oxygen saturations will be checked for each player every single day. And on weekly basis, there will be sensitization talks by the medical team for every player and staff so that they would keep reminding them of the rules and regulations of COVID-19. So basically, these are the things that will be put in place. The teams will not be encouraged to play friendly matches. If you want to play matches, you would have to play matches against yourself. If it becomes very necessary to play any friendly match, then the opposing team coming to camp would all have to be tested and show results of their COVID-19 negative results.
Okay,
this is something we're going to hammer. And of course, to add that some rooms, if it's in a hotel or guest house or pram, they'll have to reserve some rooms as isolation centers. If any case shows up, we isolate there, and we have standing agreement with the various treatment centers. If we pick a case, we can rush there. And of course, they need to have a well-equipped ambulance in camp. So these are things we're looking at putting in place.
So that was Dr. Prince Pambo, CAF Medical Committee member, speaking to Nathan Lato on yesterday's Sports Today. Well, away from the locals, in Liverpool's manager Jurgen Klopp has been named the League Managers Association Manager of the Year. Now, his team won the English Premier League, of course. Their first title in 30 years. He recently won the FA Women's Super League Manager of the Year award after leading Chelsea to the title. And Leeds United boss Marcelo Bielsa also won the Championship Award after guiding his side to the title and promotion to the English Premier League.
And again, we told you there was a good one there. We had the ticket, J&J. We had Jane and John. We decided to do that, but we do know that it is John and Jane. And ultimately, great analysis led by Ivan Spencer, the rest of the team, Koji Angson supporting Weston Amwa. And then we had great support coming from MFA Apo, and we had some great analysis also done within the period. And of course, at the event center, we had Kwesi Parker Wilson, Araba Kumson, and the analysis was great. Everybody enjoyed it, but also you look at the trends on social media, it was also one of the talk of town. But as we do that, we also know that they were doing this as they observed the COVID-19 protocols at that big auditorium at UPSA. And that's why we also do know that COVID-19 is very important. And as the president said on Sunday, churches can now have a free fall and do their services 2 hours and revert back to remote mode. What does it mean? What are the implications? What are the notices that we have the heads of these churches sending out to their various members or their branches, and then the outlets that they operate with? So Mama Vio Sobajo will be having an interaction at a church setting with the Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo. He is the chair for the Christian Council of Ghana, and we're coming from the Calvary Methodist Church right here in Accra, just down the road, I have to say. And then Sheikh Arimi Al Shaibu is an Islamic cleric, but also a known educationists, and a spokesperson for the Office of the National Chief Imam, and Sheikh Arimi Shaibu will be joining us as well. We'll be discussing how the mosques also intend doing this. As we do this, let's do some recap, recall some soundbites from that great event.
After further extensive consultations, government has taken the decision to embark upon the implementation of phase 2 of the easing of restrictions in the following sectors of our national life. Our churches and mosques have been open for prayers and services for the past 7 weeks, adhering to 25% occupancy or up to 100 congregants over a time duration of up to 1 hour per service. I extend my deepest appreciation to our religious leaders for their strict adherence to the safety protocols, which have prevented unknown outbreaks since they restarted their services. I've sorely missed going to church, as I'm sure many others have. I'm therefore very happy to announce that in consultation with our church leaders, from 1st August 2020, the restrictions on the number of congregants worshipping at a time in church will be lifted, with the length of worship extended from 1 to 2 hours per service. Church leaders who are desirous of implementing this enhanced easing directive must ensure the congregants wear face masks at all times, and the 1 meter social distancing rule is scrupulously applied. These same guidelines apply to worship in our mosques. With greater number of congregants likely to return for worship, I would respectfully ask the religious leaders to pay even greater attention to the fresh air ventilation of their premises, rather than relying on the use of air conditioners.
Now, let's make sure we get onto the streams. And before we get to that church, the Calvary Methodist Church just down the road, main street of Adabraka, just coming from Circle or going from Circle to Accra itself, we will be live there. Speak to the chair for the Christian Council of Ghana, the Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo. He's a regular on the show, helping us do some great discussions. Now, let's speak to Sheikh Arimi Shaibu. He is a spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. It is because it's not only the churches, but also those practicing the Islamic faith who also need to make sure that they do this. Now it's open, no restrictions, but what does it mean? Because this is being done in a time of COVID. It would also mean that while you're doing this, you are adhering to the needed protocols. All right, as we do that. Good morning to you, Sheikh. Well, we'll get him back on the line. Now, as we do this, we'll also have an interaction that Kudje Yankson had with Professor Kwame Nahoy. He's also a known local government expert, because look, if you take a look at it, not only because he's a former minister for local government and rural development, but the current local governance structure that we have was premised on his idea and the rest of his team and a good research, and he has great experience to share. But it is also because he has a great book, and we'll get some excerpts.
They were really calling the shots from behind. So he was seen as a very weak leader who was not in control of his party, and therefore was not able to take control of the country that was going downhill in a way. And then AFRC interregnum had raised certain expectations. Jerry Rawlings and the AFRC, they had raised certain expectations that the country could be turned around. But people were not seeing Liman as managing to turn the country around. And people began to yearn for change. So when Rawlings came, it was seen as the change needed. And I think that is why.
And we also asked some critical questions as to what he thinks of the running mates, Professor Nana Jeno Pukwa Jemain and Aldorin, in the ticket, that comprehensive analysis program that we brought to you, and then how he hopes she is going to impact the electioneering or the campaigning for December 2020. Well, we're doing all this within the times of COVID. Now let's bring you up to speed with what the latest cases are when it comes to the official page of the Ghana Health Service dedicated to getting all the latest update. New cases 532. And then we also do have all the updates when it comes to the situation of the active cases, because they are 3,307 and recoveries being 29,494 and 168 deaths. And I have to keep emphasizing, if you compare us to other countries, we have done not pretty well, very creditably. And that's also kudos to the National COVID Management Team doing some great work. As we get ahead of all that, we'll also have to update you as to what the latest is, because the National COVID Team, again, because it's a Tuesday, they will do the first of the bi-weekly press interactions and give us an update as to how the case management is going for COVID-19 and other things that are being done. We'll bring you also some soundbites as to how COVID-19 protocols were maintained at that program, where we had the unveiling of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. But let's get on to the streams and speak to Sheikh Arimiya Shaibu, spokesperson, Office of the National Chief Imam, and discuss how the religious leaders intend implementing the East sanctions, because now nobody is watching you, so you just don't have to watch your back, but you are on your own. Now, Sheikh, good morning to you.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, Uncle. But if we have to say the president did creditably, it would also mean that you, as the practicing Muslims of faith, whether you're Christians or not, may have received the news in a more compassionate way. How did you receive the news in the first place?
Actually, thank you so much for the opportunity, and good morning to all the viewers. We received it with joy. It gave us hope. It's something that we have been waiting for the past 5 months or so. We stopped congregating in our mosque for worship in compliance with the directives. We know we are not in normal times. And so we have been waiting for the opportunity to meet in the mosque and say our prayers as normal. We received it with confidence and with joy, having in mind that the emphasis which the president also indicated, we need to strictly observe the protocols that will ensure that we don't get infected. So we are preparing ourselves actually for meeting in our mosque, but with all the preparatory arrangements to really put in place.
But it also means that some communication will be undertaken by the Secretariat. What have you told the various communities and then the various clerics managing the outlets?
Indeed, this morning at 11 a.m., the eminent Chief Imam will be addressing the media to throw more light on what we intend to do. But the first thing we want Muslims to understand is that in the light of the president's message, you notice we are in the second phase of the easing, which takes effect from the 1st of August, 2020. And so therefore, our Eid, which is coming on the 31st of July, is outside of the second phase. And so we will maintain the protocol. We will not come out and celebrate the Eid al-Adha like large the public would want us to do, because we want to still respect the protocol in the first phase of the easing. Encourage the imams together with the mosque committees to ensure that where we do not have enough space, we are even more careful in such circumstances some of the mosques are neighborhood mosques, some are community mosques, and some are central mosques. Community mosques are usually smaller in their size, and the congregation are not bigger. So it's possible for us to be able to do social distancing. Jumu'ah mosques, which are community and central mosques, are bigger, but yet it also attracts huge congregation. That's where we need to be very, very careful, and we want to encourage the mosque committees or the COVID-19 task force to make enough arrangement to ensure that especially social distancing is observed, and also the use of the consistent use or constant use of the nose and mouth masks should be ensured. We need to continue to be using the temperature gun and the washing of our hands and all other sanitary rules that we need to observe. That's what we want to encourage all Muslims to ensure we are observing.
If you get onto the wider internet and read literature and news, for example, in the Emiratis, they want to open the mosques so that people go and worship. And I also do know that it coincides with the period that you just mentioned, and it's also a hub of Muslim or Islamic practice. How are you taking cues from that, the messages that come from Saudi Arabia and the rest of the big Arabian Muslim world to also guide the way you do the seculars?
Yeah, indeed, we draw inspiration, especially from Saudi Arabia, because as I speak to you, by now you would have seen a lot of pilgrims from Ghana. About 6,000 pilgrims would have been airlifted to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to perform the Hajj. But such a very important pillar, and it comes as the fifth pillar of Islam, has to be suspended just because of the COVID-19. So therefore, it tells you how serious the matter is. Indeed, this year, the Hajj performance has been restricted to Saudi citizens and also foreign residents who are in Mecca. They alone will be observing the Hajj this year. And so it's clear that we have to change the way we are doing our things. We are not in normal times. And that is a fear with the government decision. The government has all the facts and all the figures, and they are guided by such facts and figures as to how to do the easing. And so we have refrained from even any attempt to influence government to open up in favor of Muslims. And that's why we still remain committed to do our Eid this year, going by what we did during the Eid al-Fitr. Everybody will celebrate at home. The chief imam will go to GBC and do the virtual Eid, and then we'll all begin observing the second phase of the easing from the 1st of August. Next Friday, for example, our mosque, I'm sure, will be full of worshippers, and we are thankful to God for giving us the opportunity to see this second phase of the easing. But we will still do the strict observance of the preventive protocols.
So what does that mean? The worship is free, but you're still observing. Please clarify that for me.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the new directive, the second phase, this opportunity is free. I mean, we can come. There's no more restriction on the numbers.
Exactly.
There's no more restriction on the numbers. So it means that the mosque will operate in full capacity, and worshippers will come, and no one will be restrained from entering the mosque except those who do not come with their face masks, those who will also come with high temperatures may not be allowed into the mosque, because then they become suspicious as infected people. We will also insist that you wash your hands before you enter the mosque. And then also, we also still will observe the rule of one worshipper, one mask, one mat. Everybody must come with his own personal mat to worship on, because we are still living under the COVID pandemic, but life must go on. So even as we open up for us to worship strictly, social distancing, where there's wider space, we will encourage the, the social distancing. Indeed, we are also advising that in situations where the mosque is not as big as to contain big congregation and to also observe the social distancing, I mean, we have to be rational. So if you come to a mosque and it's so full and we cannot observe social distancing, go around and get another mosque where it is possible for you to observe the social distancing. You want to worship, but you also want to keep safe. That is the important thing. You want to worship and you want to keep safe. In fact, in some circumstances, it will be more advisable even to stay home if you cannot find any mosque which is convenient for you to observe social distancing. It will be more advisable even in Islam that you worship at home so that you keep safe. That's the advice we are giving all our worshippers.
Okay. And this goes across the country?
In fact, it's going across the country, and it is one of some of the aspects of the message which the chief man will give to the media at 11 a.m. This morning.
Great. Moving on from this will be the actual practice. What did you notice by way of the observance, and so you feel that this is informing the new way that you want worship to be undertaken?
Yes, like I've said several times, Islamic law, respect to worship, is flexible, it's moderate, and it considers our context. And so currently the global context is that COVID-19 is ravaging us, and because of that, it has brought about rules that is affecting us in every aspect of our life, including our worship. And because of that, we have explored the flexible frame of the Islamic law, and we are now accommodating all these things. For example, in the Quran, God tells us God intends for you ease. He does not intend for you difficulty. That's one. Two, God does not intend to impose on you difficulty in religion or in your worship. These are all Quranic texts that we are using. So within the frame of God's compassion and love for us, He does not impose for us something that will be a threat to our lives. And that is the reason why we have accommodated this. Yes, we will go out and worship and meet in the mosque. Our imams will come, they will deliver sermons. But that as the imam is delivering the sermon, he will have a sanitizer around him, which he uses to disinfect the microphones that he is using. Before the imam enters into the mosque, now it becomes a rule. The imam himself will have to check his own temperature before he enters. The imam himself will have to wash his hands before he enters. The imam himself will also have to use, by way of showing example, the face and mouth masks to cover his mouth and his nose, and to ensure that he himself does not get infected, nor does he also infect another person who is a member of the congregation in the mosque. These are things that find place within the rules of jurisprudence in Islam, and we want to encourage all Muslims to abide by this. As we observe this, on Friday, we shall be observing the Eid al-Adha. We will go by the rules of the first season, and then from the 1st of August going, we will all be meeting in our mosque, in our large congregations, observing strictly the COVID-19 pandemic preventive protocols.
It's good that you mentioned the temperature guns, etc. I've been to some mosques in my neighborhood in Ashaiman, and they don't use a gun. So I'm surprised you are saying gun. Which gun? Is it the the mosques we find in Accra or where? Or is it a countrywide thing?
Roland, yeah, thank you so much. You know, the temperature gun itself is difficult to come by, and I know some organizations are helping. The Maranatha Rock Service, for example, visited a mosque in Medina Central Mosque, and they provided a temperature gun. And so some organizations are providing this, and I think Tomb Lion is also helping. In the mosque where I live myself, we ourselves have to buy our own temperature gun. We have a sanitizer device which you have to use your hand and then take the sanitizer before you enter into the mosque. Myself, I register and write my name in a register before I enter. Even as an imam, I register and my name before I enter and give my sermon. I wash my hands before I enter the mosque. I use my face mask. And if you come to the police mosque, the police central mosque as cantonment. In fact, at cantonment, there's even a whole huge device, that a vacuum that you enter and you are sprinkled with a disinfectant before you enter. And then your temperature is also taken with the temperature gun before you enter into the mosque. It's so beautiful when you see it over there, but it's not all the mosques that can get this. A certain philanthropist was able to provide this at the police mosque. We are asking all Muslim philanthropists who can help Muslims to get this. For example, at the Abasoka Central Mosque, at the regional central mosques, all, if we are able to get this, that would be so great. In Kumasi and other places, if we get that, will be very, very helpful. So it is happening, except there are some few mosques that are not able to obtain, but that we will see what we can do to help them obtain the temperature guns, inshallah.
At 11 o'clock, the Chief Imam will formally, through the studios, communicate to the entire Muslim faith, right? Okay, so this is what we're doing.
Yes, definitely. At 11 a.m., the Chief Imam will be meeting media houses, and I'm sure your media house has also been invited to come and pitch it for your newspapers.
Yeah, definitely. We have been. And so we're opening the phone lines. We want, if you're practicing Muslim, please, any question you want to ask, no criticism. If you want to insult, well, I cut you off. So a question. Like this is for clarification. No insult at all. No politics in there, and just key questions. And it is because we have a key spokesperson from the office of the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimiyahu Shaibu, who is out here to answer questions for our Muslim brothers and sisters. We all do know that Eid al-Adha is on Friday, but also it's a time that all of us revel in, especially for those of us who are very close to our Muslim brothers and sisters. And please make sure you call in 030-2211-691 or 2 and let us hear from you. You can call from any part of the country. You're practicing Muslim, you want to ask some key questions, please make sure you do so, and you want some clarification for your community. You could even be the head of the mosque you have in your community, and you're a key member of the faith in your community. You want some clarification from Accra. We're doing this for you right here. And we already do have Abdul Salam. Abdul Salam, good morning to you. Where are you calling from?
Good morning. I'm calling from Bimbilla, Northern Region.
Bimbilla, great. Please, you have a question you would want to ask Sheikh?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Please, I want to find out, we've been hearing rumors that the Eid al-Adha will not be observed from people. Please check, what do you have to say on it?
Okay, and so that's a question. Please, the phone lines are open, 030-2211-691 or 2. Sheikh, you heard this question.
Yeah, I heard this question clear. Thank you very much, brother, from far, I think, upper west. We are not going to observe the Eid al-Adha as normal. We will replicate the celebration of the Eid al-Fitr. In other words, we will celebrate at home. This is because we are within the first phase of the easing. We are not in the second phase yet. The second phase begins from the 1st of August. And secondly, Roland, you said something which I want to emphasize. We want to also be careful not to involve in the politics of it. We don't want to appear as if we were seeking some favor from government. So it will be open for us as Muslims to celebrate. That is why we ourselves are remaining strict, and we are observing it within the frame of the first phase of the easing. And so therefore, we are not yet in the second phase of the easing, which begins on the 1st of August. And that's why we are celebrating at home.
Okay, please, the phone lines are open, 030-2211-691 or 2. Now, as we wait for, as more calls keep coming in, let me just ask the question about if the easing is now out of place, can communities, heads of various mosques decide decide that they want to impose some kind of social distancing rules, and in what way can they do that? I have Rashid. Hold on. I have Rashid. Right. Where are you calling from? Oh, Rashid is off. Please answer the question for me.
Yes, indeed. We must understand that the government removes the restrictions, but that the responsibility lies on us to make sure that we keep safe. So we ourselves can make our own arrangements, which in our judgments further enhances our safety, because we need to stay safe and healthy and alive to be able to worship. And that is very key. And this is a germane principle that underpins the Islamic application of law. One is the protection of life. Protection of life is very, very key in the application of law or Sharia in Islam. And that is why we are calling on all of us that we should all do what it takes to enhance our own safety. Our own safety. This one does not even have to do with waiting for government to tell us anything, but that we as a community want to build a healthy community. And all the COVID-19 preventive measures are intended to guarantee our safety and enhance our good health, which is also important for us to be able to worship. And so any mosque can decide to lift the level to another, lift the state to another level of the restrictions to ensure that if you are not ready to open your mosques, you are not compelled to open the mosque like, let's say, next Friday. You are not compelled. For example, you want to do fumigation, disinfection, cleaning, painting, all other things. You want to put in place your Veronica buckets. You want to get your temperature gun and all those things. If you want to take your time, you are not compelled to open up. Our safety is very, very important.
Okay, all right. We have Ralph from Adan. Ralph, good morning. Ralph, good morning. Okay, we seem to have lost Ralph. Now, if it comes to how this directive needs to be received by the community members, because I know people are very much passionate and obsessed with religion. So saying that there's the easing of restrictions nationally, but you want some conceptual means by which these could be managed in the communities. How do you intend making sure that the faith or the congregants, so to speak, receive it in a positive light from their local communities? That is if their heads. Okay, we have Isa on the line. Isa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good
morning to you and the listener. And then I say good morning and happy Eid al-Adha in advance to Sheikh and all the Muslims.
Please go ahead.
Please, I want to ask Sheikh if we have a community. They are not coming to pray in a huge country, but have a community which we have a small ground closer to the mosque. Can we pray outside the ground? There's our mosque, small community.
Please, your question again.
What I want to find out is that according to Sheikh, the community mosques, we can pray in the mosque. And I want to know if in that mosque there is a small ground closer to that community mosque. Can we form and pray on that ground without going into the mosque?
Okay, so you're saying if there's an open space, you would rather want to pray outside?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sheikh, please respond.
Yeah, I mean, during the second phase of the easing, which begin from the 1st of August, indeed, if your mosque is too small and you want to pray outside, it is allowed, because you can come outside and say your prayer within the period, so that when COVID-19 virus is no more with us, you can resume and pray into the mosque. So for now, for this reason, you can pray outside and do social distancing. It's allowed.
Okay, please, phone lines are still on. And then we're going to have Mama Biosabaji speaking to the Reverend Paul Kwabena-Boafo. He is chair of the Christian Council of Ghana, and we just want to have some great insight. And as we're having this chat, there is the need for restraint. And I asked a question about how you intend restraining the communities and then compelling them in a way, persuasively though, to listen to their leaders who will have to do the local management.
I think it's important that we know that it has to do with behavior change. And behavior change is one of the difficult things. It doesn't come overnight. So what we need to do is to do a lot of orientation. And this is where local community leaders that have influential voices, for example, the imam who is the local leader over there, the district imam or the local imam, the neighborhood imam, and then even the chiefs, the authority that are within the localities, and they also speak to them in a language that is most appreciated by the local people. This is where we will use such people to let them understand that there is flexibility. We have our faith, all right, we are passionate, but that we also have to stay safe. And this kind of approach has a place in our religion. And we use the Quranic texts to educate them that when it comes to matters of religion, sometimes we look at practical realities surrounding us, and then we approach them appropriately. And I think that is what we must continue doing. In fact, we have to continue doing the orientation on radio, television, and in the local communities. That will help us get the people to comply.
Well, we have Haruna. Haruna, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Upper East.
Upper East. Which part of Upper East? It's a big area.
Boku.
Okay. Please, your question to Sheikh.
Sheikh talk about the hand-based sanitizer. We have been hearing from the Muslim that it's forbidden for us to use alcohol-based or alcohol. So now that we are entering to the mosque, we prefer ourselves to enter and pray. And we're using sanitizer. Think of the sanitizer, the alcohol-based sanitizer, or we have a different kind of sanitizer. And the second thing is that about the prayers. Are we going to pray in the mosque with social distance, or there's no eat at all? That is my question.
So Haruna, it means you've not been using sanitizers, eh?
We have been using, but now that if we are entering the mosque to pray, there's no need for you to be in contact with alcohol. Maybe anytime I want to pray, I use maybe liquid soap to wash my hand and enter the mosque and pray with my nose mask. And also emphasize on the sanitizer. So now that we are forbidden to use alcohol, if we enter to pray, we already prefer ourselves to go and pray. So are we having different sanitizer, or we use the alcohol-based one to go and pray? Is it allowed?
Well, Sheikh, please respond to him. First one, the sanitizer, and then about the distancing or free for all in the mosque. Yes.
But the question he has asked is very, very important about the alcohol content of the sanitizer. What we must understand is that we have what you call industrial alcohol that are used for medical purposes. That is not what Islam is talking about. Islam talks about alcohol that has been produced or fermented, and it's industrial alcohol, which is not the type that we are talking about. So sanitizers that contain alcohol can be used by Muslims, but don't drink alcohol. Drinking alcohol for intoxication, the Banku and the Tuanzafi we take, they have certain chemical components of alcohol in them, and yet they are not those that we are talking about. Natural alcohol is different, and we have them in some of the medical things that we use, in some of the perfumes that we use, and so on and so forth. Those are industrial. They are not the ones we are talking about. But we are talking about what has been put together deliberately to produce a substance that intoxicates, that when you take makes you intoxicated. Those ones are haram, and they don't come close to us at all. So you can use your sanitizers and clean yourself. Now, with the Eid, like I have said, the president has pronounced the 1st of August as the effective date for the commencement of the second phase of the easing. And we are going to celebrate on the 31st of July. So we are not yet in 1st of August. So we are not going out to celebrate like we do normally. We will celebrate at home. Like I've mentioned, we didn't want to interfere with the government directives. So we will go by the directives and celebrate at home. That is what we are going to do.
Quite interesting, the point you make there. Let's see how it goes. So you're saying that alcohol in normal perfume, the industrial alcohol in normal perfumes is okay?
Yes, it's okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Are not meant for us to drink and get intoxicated. Like Roland, like I mentioned, in fact, the banku and the ethyl and all those things that we take.
Sure,
if you go into the laboratory, they contain certain elements of alcohol, and yet we are not those who put that alcohol there. So those ones are permissible. They are not things that we need to bother ourselves about. But substances that have so deliberately been produced to be drunk and to get intoxicated, those ones are alcohol, they are intoxicants, and they are prohibited, strictly prohibited.
Because it is the drinking that the Quran frowns against, right?
Exactly. So for example, you cannot go and use beer or aperitif. The aperitif is deliberately produced for you to drink and get intoxicated. That is alcohol, which you cannot use at all. That is haram.
Shukran. Shukran. Well, Sheikh, thank you very much for this interaction. Great insight that you've undertaken so far and great education. And I'm sure our viewers are all the better for it. We'll get back to you when we need more clarification. But you said the time is 11, is that not it?
11 a.m. sharp.
All right. But Sheikh Arimi Yao is an Islamic cleric, but also a spokesperson for the Office of the National Chief Imam. And it's where we go to the Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo. He is having an interaction with Mama Osabwaji right now at the Calvary Methodist Church.
Methodist Church to meet the Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo, who is the presiding bishop here, also chairman of the Christian Council. We want to talk about the new directive given by the president, but we also want to take a look at how life has been in church during COVID-19. And he's gracious enough to meet us this morning right here in his church. Let me just walk to him and say, yes, Bishop, thank you very much for allowing us into your space.
You are welcome.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that it will be appropriate for you to, first of all, introduce us into the church, as in typically when church service is on Sundays or on any other day, what happens? Because I see you've numbered the seats beautifully. What happens?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for this opportunity and welcome to Calvary Methodist Church. Originally, if we were to go by the old system, this place would be full with about 700 plus people. Then when we came to the new normal, which is the first phase of the new normal, the easing of the restrictions, a pew which could take about 10 people was taking only two people at a time. One was sitting right there, and then the other was there, observing the social distancing. Right. So that was to accommodate the 100 people which the president talked about. Yeah. And at least the room was big enough, and there were a lot of spaces also left in that first phase. But with the new one that is coming from 1st August, what we are going to do is to look at the pew which was seating 10 people and observing the 1 meter in between the social distancing. This pew can now take about 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am here on Sunday.
Yes.
And
right.
the next person.
That's right. We're right seated there. Somewhere here.
Okay.
Then so that's the distance between you and the next person. Then the next person also sits somewhere there. Then we have another one. So about 5 people will now be observing the distancing.
Okay.
Right. Then the next pew will also have the same. So it means that it's going to take about half of our normal congregants.
Okay, which is about how many people?
It's about 300 now.
Okay.
So we see that we have moved from the 100 to 300.
Okay.
That's using the formula for calculating the social distancing. Yes.
Okay.
And that's what we are going to be using now.
And then now you're doing 2 hours instead of the 1 hour.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. The 1 hour was so restrictive. As Orthodox churches, we go through a liturgy. And the 1 hour was so restrictive that we had to box a lot of things together.
Okay.
And even leave out some of them. You know, Methodists, we are a singing church. And singing our hymns of, let's say, 5 or 6 stanzas, we're now singing just one, leaving out the others. But we sing our faith. So singing one verse and leaving the other was not well enough, was not good enough. It was not speaking to us. But now we can at least sing through all and make sure that the hymn is also speaking to us. We were also to take 3 lessons from Scripture, but because of the time, we're only taking 1.
Okay.
Which was also not good enough as a church.
Whilst we continue the conversation, we will take a seat and then.
Right.
Yes. So I just also wanted to ask. So you were doing 1 hour before the new directive.
Yeah.
And then you were explaining what goes into the 1 hour.
Yes.
But you could have more services. What was uncomfortable about it?
Yeah, the more services also had to do with logistics as well as personnel. A minister could then have to stand here for all the day going through. In this chapel, we're having 4 services from 7 to 8, 9 to 10, 11 to 12, and then 3 to 4. And this same person going through, and it was quite demanding and tiring for the minister.
Were you getting the 100 people? Were people coming to church?
Sure. In fact, for here, we can say that the first 3 services, we had quite a number of people coming. It was just the late afternoon one which was not well attended.
Okay.
But the mornings, people were here. Yes.
Is this the plea to the president? Is this what you wanted? 2 hours? Do have the number that you originally would have?
Yes. But when the first easing and the protocol came, the heads of churches, that's the religious bodies, we saw that the 1 hour was not enough. And so we made a petition to the government through the Minister of Religious Affairs, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, looking at how we go about our services. So we pleaded for some more hours. So at the last meeting, we told him that if you could extend it to 2 hours, it will be good for us. Also taking into account they call it the behavior of the virus. They were saying that the longer you stay together, then you gave it the power to also spread and all that. So Bible said 2 hours was good enough for us so that we can all leave and then the room can be sanitized. Well,
after all, we still go to work and we do more than 2 hours
Exactly. And the church too was also observing all the protocols to the letter.
Well, but you know, criticisms will be, there are some churches that are still doing online service. You still could reach out to your members and not necessarily physically meet.
Sure.
What's particularly the difficulty?
Yeah, you see, for us as the Methodist Church, we are all over the country. And our church is also for the marginalized people as well as the endowed people. There are many in the rural areas who were not technologically savvy, who were not having these things. And even it was at a cost to even get online to watch and then to, so we felt that it was not good enough for our people in the rural areas. Yeah, that's why we felt that if it could be an in-service where they can meet, at least for that, and then they can go through service.
Okay.
It was the best.
But have you had any COVID-19 scare?
Not that I know in the Methodist Church as well as all the religious organizations. I have not heard. We do meet every Monday to evaluate and then to pray for the nation and to pray for the world.
As in the Christian Council?
As in the Christian Council and all the religious bodies. In fact, that's a positive thing about COVID for the church. It has brought us together. The Christian Council, Catholic Bishops' Conference, Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Churches, Ghana National Association of Charismatic Churches and all that, and other para churches. We come together every Monday through Zoom and pray.
Okay.
And this is what COVID has done. Positive. Positive, yes.
And throughout the
none of them,
interactions with this grouping, none has talked about the fact that they recorded any cases in church?
I have not heard of any scares of COVID-19 or taking temperatures where they saw that the temperature was high and the person was asked to go back home or was isolated or quarantined. No, I have not heard of that.
But this is also bringing perhaps costs to the church, because now you're providing a lot of water, soap, there's tissue, and then you need an isolated place, an isolation room.
Yeah.
How much is the extra cost that's coming?
For that one to quantify now, I cannot give you figures, but it's cost. It's cost, because originally we were not going through all those protocols, providing water, then the alcohol-based sanitizers, even the gun thermometer and all that. We did it at a cost. In the rural areas, we had to help them even with the Veronica buckets and the detergents to be washing their hands, the tissues and all that. Some could not even afford, but we had to provide. So it's extra cost. But we also believe that it is at a cost for which the person is also not relegating God from his or her life, because that is always very, very crucial. That is very important that you do it at all times, so that your love for God will not grow cold. So providing this to help the person overcome and get closer and related to God, we feel that it is a good service we are giving to the people.
Are you still blessing children? Are you doing the naming ceremony?
Not yet. Not yet, because we have not even brought the Sunday school to church yet, and we think that they should remain in the houses. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're doing the wedding?
Yes, we do weddings.
What's the difference these days?
Still, it's the 1 hour service, and the handshaking, the embracing, you may kiss the bride and all those things. Even though they are one, we will not do it in public as it will have been done previously. Okay. If they can do it while they are,
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is still social distancing even when you're getting married?
Well, yeah, you see, in order not to bring any confusion into the minds of people that they are talking about social distancing, they are talking about this. Why is it now coming out publicly to the people. You confuse the people. So in order not to, so that people will just say that, oh, let us also do it because after all they are doing it in the church. Let us not. Okay. So you go home. You have more time to do it.
Is this a Methodist directive or this is the entire Christian Council?
Well, with the others, I don't know how they are doing it, yes, but for the Methodists, I believe that that's how.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Are you hoping that in the course of maybe the weeks to come, we will have another review from the 2 hours to strictly now go back to normal if everybody is adhering strictly to the protocols?
Yeah, yes. Now we are talking about the new normal. But we will not go back to the old normal.
We won't go back to having about 700 people
exactly,
in the church.
Because of COVID. Because of COVID. We now have to live with it. And in living with it, what are the protocols that we have to observe? What are the things that can help in preventing it so that people will be free to come to church, so that people will not be reluctant and say that, or will be scared to come to a public place like the church. All right, yeah. So we might go a little further, but not as full capacity where we are bogged down and then we are embracing each other and all that, because we have not found a vaccine yet. And so we need to also be very cautious in what we do.
Okay. All right. In bringing this conversation to a close, so this new, in terms of the 5 people on the pew, would begin in August.
Yes.
What kind of directive is the church sending to the rest of the branches?
The circular will come out to the bishops. For us, that's what we do. We have the structures. So the head office will write to the bishops, and then the bishops will also direct to the superintendents, and then it will go down to the societies, observing the 1 meter social distancing and going through all the protocols laid down by WHO and the Ministry of Health.
Are there some concerns, just before we wrap up, are there concerns that church members are raising in this period?
Not that I know of concerns. In fact, it was in the first one where the numbers were restricted and then the time was also restricted. That one, it was a big concern for all of us. But this one, I think we have all embraced it and we want to work with it and see how this one also turns out. Then we can go back to government, because this is a fight we have to do together. It's not just the government sitting there and then bringing directives. We all have to contribute and make our input to make sure that we can fight this common enemy. It's a common enemy that we are all fighting.
Okay, so would there be one service or you still have more services?
We will have more services.
Okay.
You see, even before COVID, Calvary had 2 services, early morning and then the late morning. But with this one and the numbers still not to full capacity, we'll have to go a little further and make sure that if the 100 cap was 4 services, now we can bring it to about 3 services now. Yes.
All right. Well, Reverend, thank you very much for opening up the church. Maybe next time you find yourself in Adabraka, if you're working in this environment, you need a place to pray, you can just pass by the Calvary Methodist in Adabraka. Are your doors open throughout?
Yes. We have people here. You can walk in, sit, and then pray.
Okay.
And the ministers are also around. Our officers are just here.
Okay.
Just call to the minister, whatever you will need, they are ready. And thank you for the evangelism you have done this morning. Yeah, you are a good evangelist for welcoming people. We will say that this is Calvary Methodist Church, Adabraka. If you are around or you have no place of worship, just walk in. We have English service, we have Fanti service, P service, and then you will enjoy it,
Okay.
and you meet a lot of people, Christian friends who are ready to embrace it. Embrace in the sense of social distancing.
And no
yeah, that's
hugging.
right. That's no hugging, no hugging. But
right.
you will be welcome to worship with us in this chapel.
All right. Thank you, Rev, for helping
and
us
thank
understand.
you too.
All
thank
right.
you.
So that's it from us, from the Calvary Methodists in Adabraka. Over to you, Roland Walker.
And we told you about that interaction Kojo Yankson had with Professor Kwame Nahoy, one-time Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. But it's also because not only he teaches in academia, but his immense wealth of knowledge when it comes to the current setup of our local governance structure that we have. And I think all of us will need to watch and get some lessons.
You know, what do you say to those who suggest that it was largely designed to protect Rawlings from prosecution and international, vilification following handover?
No, there's only an aspect that criticism is made in relation to the indemnity clauses in the transitional provisions of the Constitution. And there's an explanation for that. When people stage coup d'etat, they know that they have committed the crime of treason, for which the punishment is death. Therefore, if you want those people to hand over smoothly, you have to give them guarantees that they will not be molested, they will not be vilified, they will not even be tried and maybe sentenced to death if they should hand over. Because they will not accept to commit suicide, which is what they will be doing if they simply say, okay, we are handing over. So anytime a coup has taken place in any country, negotiations take place for guarantees of indemnity and immunity to be provided the coup makers. That is the only way they will feel comfortable enough to agree to hand over. And those were the provisions that were inserted in the transitional provisions of the Constitution that people criticize. I know people criticize it a lot, but when they criticize it, their target is Rawlings. But Rawlings is only one. The treason charge extends to those of us who also worked with him. So if the indemnity clauses are removed, not only Rawlings will be tried, I will be tried. President Kufuor will be tried. Because in fact, he was appointed PNDC Secretary for Local Government before I was appointed a PNDC Secretary.
Yeah.
So if we go in line to be tried, he will come before me. Not only that, the coup makers of 72 will be tried. The coup makers of 66, those of them who are alive, will also be tried. And then there will be a lot of confusion. There will be political instability, etc. So whilst it may not be the best legal formula, it is the best political formula. It's a matter of political pragmatism. Because if you don't do that, then you have to fight the coup makers in order to get them to hand over power.
Does it not go beyond that, though? I mean, is it not also criticized for the fact that it gives perhaps too much power to our presidents?
No, I agree that it gives too much power to the presidency, but that is how the Constitution was designed. Remember, the original proposals from the Committee of Experts Constitution, chaired by Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante, they recommended the French kind of formula, a president and a prime minister kind of formula, the kind that we had in 1969, so that there will be a split executive between the president and the prime minister. That was rejected by the Consultative Assembly, and they went in for the presidential thing. The problem with the powers that they have given the president is that he's virtually unchallengeable. I mean, he's responsible for virtually everything in the country, and that is, I think, is what is wrong. So if we had gone along with the recommendations of the Professor Fiajo Constitutional Review Commission, you see that they made some recommendations that would have reduced you know, the power of the president. Their report was issued. Professor Mills issued a white paper, but it has not been implemented yet. You know, President Mahama went a long way towards implementing it. In fact, he submitted the constitutional amendment bills, 2 of them, entrenched clauses and non-entrenched clauses, to Parliament, but they didn't have time to do it before, you know, the NDC lost power. So it is one of the unfinished businesses of democracy that another government may have to take a look at.
Let's see if we can inch closer to the modern state of the NDC. Following Rawlings, you and a lot of your colleagues put your strength behind Professor Atta Mills, who then became president. Now, if you ask Rawlings today, one of the reasons he will give for his disagreements with the late Professor Mills is that he expected the late professor to prosecute a lot of the people in the NPP government when he took over in 1999.
No, 2009.
Sorry, in 2009, thank you. In 2009. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, and in that, a lot of our people agree with Rawlings. Even I agree with him to a large extent, because if you look at how the NPP is treating the NDC today, since they came to power in 2017, and you are an NDC member, you begin to ask yourself, why was nothing done to the NPP members when the NDC came to power in 2009? And I have the answer, because I was directly in charge of what could have been done. PV Obey and I, in charge of the transition team. We built criminal dockets against more than 100 NPP appointees. We had planned for a 5-part series of press conferences to be addressed by Alex Segbefia, who later became Deputy Chief of Staff and later Minister of Health. We had to go and seek President Mills' approval to proceed. I went to him with a brief and everything. After I had finished, he sat back, looked at me and said, we spoke frantic. Come now. So you want us to do it to them. When they come back, then they will do it to us. When we come, then we do it to them. Then it will be to-in and fro-in. Then did Ghana go or did Ghana come? Come now, me, meaning come now, I won't do it. That is how the NPP got away with quote and unquote murder. Today they get up and say that if they had done anything wrong, we would have prosecuted them. They don't know that we had a president who said he was an Asomdwe and that he was prepared to forget the past in order that we move forward. Many people in the NDC were very, very disappointed. And their disappointment is reflected in Rawlings' anger with President Mills. That even if he had done a quarter of what we think a politician should have done, maybe today's reaction of the NPP would have been different. But because they got away with it, they think that it's business as usual, and so they can continue. But I must tell you, President Mills, you know, that's why some people said that he was not a born politician. He had no business in politics, because he didn't have that cutting edge. Because in politics you don't always have to be good. Mills was good, so he assumed that every human being was good. But in politics, there are very bad people. And when you encounter the bad people, you have to deal with them. But because he couldn't see how a human being could be bad, it was very difficult for him to deal with bad people.
Now, you threw your weight behind him. But when he died, God rest his soul, did you throw your weight behind Mahama?
Yes, indeed. In President Mills' biography, which we will launch next year, which I wrote with Kokwenyido, we will see exactly the role that I played, and others also played. Literally, we were the one who, made it possible for the transition from Mills to Mahama to take place so easily. We had to do a lot of things to ensure that. You may want to talk to the Speaker of Parliament at the time, Mrs. Justice, the lady, that was her name, something, and also the Chief Justice at the time, Mrs. Who left before Sufai Kufu took over.
Oh yes, Wood.
We are Georgina Wood. You know, we worked with them on the day that Mills died, you know, and we had to do a lot of work to make it possible for Mahama to be sworn in the night of 24th July. So yes, we threw our weight behind him.
Do you think he was a good president?
He could have been a good president, and he will be a good president from 2021, because I believe that he has learned some lessons from some of the mistakes that he made. You know, I think that the biggest mistake he made at the beginning of his presidency, not when he was finishing off President Mills' time, but at the beginning of his presidency, was to surround himself with people who were not core NDC members. You know, his special advisor or whatever was not, his secretary was not, his secretary to the cabinet was not, his, you know, so many of them. And so there was a divorce between the government and the party. And therefore, it was not very easy for the party's program to be implemented. To a large extent, it was a program of the bureaucracy that was being implemented, and not the program of the party. But I think halfway through, he realized the problem, and so he changed course. And that's when he brought in Julius Debra as his chief of staff. He brought in what was his name? The deputy something at the AU now. Kotti.
Yes.
Yeah, as a secretary. I mean, yes. He changed his immediately because he realized the problem that had been created. And I think that since we came into position, he has been working with the party people very, very closely. And that's why I think that he will be a very successful president. But even in his presidency, I think that he did very well in terms of development, especially. His development agenda was excellent. But I think it was his handling of the party that created problems for him.
The current ticket, John and Jane. There are those who say that this is really your orchestration.
No, it is not my orchestration.
There's a pause
Jane,
there.
No, it's because I have known Jane for a long time. We are actually age mates. We were both born in 1951. I'm only 1 month ahead of her. I was born in October. She was born in November. We entered secondary school together. We left together. I have known her for a long time. In 1996, I was the one who brought her from Cape Coast University to come and interview President Rawlings on Radio Gold. We have been very close together. But she was President Mahama's education minister. She was also my education minister. So if anybody should be a better judge of her as a politician, it should be President Mahama. It's not me. I think that she's President Mahama's choice. It is not time yet. Otherwise, I would reveal to you what I did and who my preferred choice was for the number 2, for the running mate position.
It wasn't Jane?
No, it wasn't Jane. But the moment she was announced, I accepted her because I know she's very good material. And we are also, charting a new course. We are breaking the glass ceiling, as they say. And you can see the confusion that it has caused in the opposition, in the government party camp, because I think this was the last thing that they imagined would happen. But I think that it is a brilliant ticket. Nana is a lady of steel. You don't run a big university like Cape Coast University with all these professors, a medical school, a law faculty, this and all of that. I mean, it takes guts to be able to, manage an institution. It's not even an institution. It's a city. It's a secondary city because population of Cape Coast University is bigger than most of the secondary cities that we have in Ghana. So she has managerial acumen, and I think she has performed well, and she deserves it. It's a good ticket. I recommend it to Ghanaians.
Now, this is how I'd like us to end. It has been believed for the longest time, and I said it at the beginning, that you are the shadow puppet master of the NDC, that in reality, the party is run from Church Street, where your offices are. Tell us today, is this true?
No, it's not true. Actually, my office is not in Church Street. My office is at a place near the European Union office. We call it Center for Democratic Transitions. But I go to Church Street because Church Street is the office of Atuahoi and the Kwame Pepa. They are the ones who are there. And a lot of the unemployed NDC politicians, they gravitate towards there, to go and discuss national issues, etc., etc. So I wouldn't say that that the party is run from there. Of course, the people there have influence, and so they are consulted when issues come up. But then the flag bearer himself also has his office at cantonments, where you see a lot of NDC bigwigs also congregating. People say that President Rawlings's office and resident at Ridge is also a powerhouse, and so...
but they can't all be,
no,
right?
They can all be. I mean, after all, politics is a matter of consultation. Didn't you realize that when President Mahama was introducing Nana, he said, he had consulted the founder at the Ridge, he had consulted the Council of Elders, he had consulted the FEC, he had consulted the NEC, he consulted all of these. Of course, there are informal consultations that take place also. Maybe he consulted me, but he cannot announce that I consulted Kwame Nahoe. Who am I? I don't have a position in the party. So even if he consulted me, you wouldn't know. But there is also a lot of informal consultations that go on, including chiefs. Some of the chiefs, the country's big chiefs, they are also consulted, not just by NDC, by both parties, when some of these appointments have to be made. So there's been very wide consultation. But it is not true. I have influence in the party. That is true. I have a lot of influence in the party because of the role I played from day one of the revolution. But it is not the kind of influence that will make me the master puppeteer. No.
Why don't you tell our audience why working with Rawlings is essential reading?
I have stated in the blurb of the book that Rawlings is an enigma. He is not the ordinary run-of-the-mill leader or president. His style is different. His leadership is different. And therefore, when you have the opportunity to work with a personality like that, you gain experiences that are worth following by others who will come after you. So for me, it was always important to me that I would document my experiences with Rawlings. Now, one of his character traits that I admired, and I've given about 2 examples in the book, for example, was his human relations. And the 2 examples, I don't know if we have time, I'll summarize 2 of them. When he did something that upset me and I resigned, I actually took my letter of resignation to him. I put my letter of resignation on the notice board. He didn't mind me. When I got home in the evening, my wife and the children, then they were young, I think 8, 6, and 4. They were in the most ebullient of moods. They came running towards me. They were happy. Why? They said, President Rawlings had sent word that the next day I should bring them to the castle. He wants to fly us around the country. So, of course, my family was happy. How could I kill their happiness by saying, we are not going because I have resigned? So the next morning, I took them. He had this small 14-seater Defender aircraft. He put us in it. He piloted it himself with his flight engineer by his side. 3 hours we were in the air. When we came back, he drove us back to the castle. He served them breakfast, And I was just amazed. I didn't say anything. I had packed my things from the office. The next day, nobody told me to go back to the office. I went back to the office, I took my things to the office, and I continued serving. I had put a notice of my resignation on the notice board. I took it off and put one line that I have rescinded my decision to resign. You know, that was his way of telling me I am sorry without having to utter those words. Because as a military man, you should never say you are sorry to your subordinate. It doesn't happen. But I admired the way that he, you know, he worked around me in a way that was really, I said, this man, it was a psychological battle of wills, and clearly he won, you know. And that was it came to him naturally, you know, how he handled human beings. His human relations were really excellent. And when you work with a person like that, I like him more after that incident, because my family didn't stop talking about it for the next 2 or 3 months, you know, and everybody in their school got to hear that Rawlings had taken them on a flight. Good for the family.
Wow.
So experiences like that needed to be documented so that future heads of state, future ministers, etc. would see that being in leadership position does not mean always cracking the whip. Sometimes there's a certain human approach to relationships that work even better than cracking the whip.
Do you think this book will bring you two back together?
If Rawlings reads it, it can bring us together. My fear, however, is that he may not read it. Some people will read it and go and misrepresent the contents to him. I'm saying this because it has happened once before, and Nana Atudazi and I had to come out. You know, this business of some Abacha money, etc.
Yeah.
He gave an interview to a Nigerian newspaper that 2 of his colleagues went and wrote a book on decentralization and said that, you know, he had taken money from Abacha, etc. So we came out with a press statement that no, the book we wrote, the 2 of us co-authored, was about Justice Annan. It had nothing to do with decentralization. And in fact, what we said about the Abacha money was so positive. What we said was that the MPP tried to bring it up in Parliament for debate. And Justice Annan worked things in such a way that they could never bring it up for debate. That was all we said in the book about the Abacha money. So we knew, for example, that he had not read it, but somebody had misrepresented, because the Abacha, the Justice Annan book and my decentralization book were both launched in 2010, very close to each other. Yes, and somebody obviously mixed it up and went in. So what I'm saying is that if he reads it himself, it can bring us together.
Do you know the truth about the Abacha money?
Yes, I know. I didn't know about Rawlings saying that he took only 2, the money was 2 million, etc. I didn't know about that, but I do know that some money came from Abacha through his security.
To Rawlings?
Well, to the government. I don't know whether to Rawlings or to the government.
Well, did the government take receipt of it, or did it go to
it didn't come to me, so I wouldn't know. You know,
you're a member of government.
Yes, but I mean, when we sign a loan agreement and it comes, you can't ask the Minister of Youth and Sports to confirm that the money came. He doesn't handle it. He's the Minister of Finance. So in my position as Minister of Local Government, I wasn't handling money.
So you don't know where the money went?
No, I know that the money came. I don't know where it went.
Professor Ahoy, this has been fascinating. I wish we could go on for longer. In fact, I wish you hadn't written this book in the year 2020, where COVID-19 exists, because I would have loved to shake your hand.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for a better day, a better year. Thank you so much.
Can I just say something about where this can be purchased?
Please do.
After the launch.
Yes.
After the launch, you can get it Kingdom Bookshop Legon, EPP Bookshop Labadi, Bachona Total Filling Station, Citrus Bookshop ANC Mall, Kingdom Bookshop Usu, Vidya Bookshop Usu, Airport City Shell Filling Station, my own office, CDT, Ghana, is near the European Commission, European Union office, opposite Aquinas Secondary School. Then EPP Bookshop Legon, Then the publishers also sell it online, www.digibookspublishing.com. And then the Holiday Inn Hotel shop at the Airport City.
When is the launch?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes.
We'll all be there.
Okay. Thank you very
so much.
It's been a pleasure. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you for watching.
Well, forget about your political persuasion. Knowledge is knowledge. And if you can get access to that book, which I will, just like Kojo Yankson said he will, it will be a great storehouse of knowledge for all of us to tap into. That was a great interaction. Kojo Yankson, host of the Super Morning Show, and helping us with that interaction. Professor Kwame Ahoy, great man of experience and intellectual capacity. But moving on, we have to bring you the latest entertainment highlight with Kadi. But before we do that, let me run this by you. Golden Finger Industries Limited is a fast-growing manufacturing company processing fruit into quality organic cosmetic products, cleaning and disinfectant, produced right here in Ghana under certified FDA conditions. Now, they do have in stock GF hand sanitizers, GF rubbing alcohol, GF Jetyl antiseptic, GF multi-purpose liquid soap, GF hand washing soap, GF antiseptic cleaner, and GF multi-purpose glass cleaners. Now, they are located at Giselle Estate, SEC, DVLA, right on the Wager Road, and you can contact them on 054-6274-070 or 054-6273-990. They have a reliable landline, and it is 0302-957950. Well, I have to take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest showbiz.
Good morning, my name is Kadi and this is Showbiz. Now let's talk more about how event organizers can make more money on their shows. Now CEO of Create Concerts, Stephen Ato Kwame Naforsen, has revealed that in order for event organizers to make more profit on their shows, they should reconsider giving out free tickets to closed house, especially from entertainers and their team. There's more.
It doesn't. Here we do beautiful shows, but the revenue that comes out of it is very small. So we need to come back and then regroup and then do our shows according to how much money we hope to get.
Yeah.
And we should stop distributing tickets out to people for free. Because when we stop, it will be difficult. But after a while, yes, but after a while, when people realize that even the so-called industry players, nobody is giving them tickets, they will start buying tickets to watch.
Yeah.
Even the person you are going to give award to that show, the person must still buy tickets so that there will be money in the industry, so that another time when you come, we can get someone to pay you to come and perform.
Okay, so are you starting that?
Yes.
When are
we are starting. You know, these virtual concerts we are doing.
Yeah.
Even my team, when we are doing the virtual concert, everybody is supposed to monitor to make sure that everything is going on well. And we can monitor standing there and watching them, although we are at the venue.
You monitor from your phone?
You monitor from your phone. Yeah. I remember last time my head of events, Mr. Abdul Abbas Moise, approached me that, boss, I want to monitor the Santrophy event. I'm not able to log in. I said, pay.
Yeah.
If you pay for it and you're on a platform, first of all, you will test whether the payment is going through.
Yeah.
And you will test the system through and through.
Yeah, so if you have any difficulty, then you'll be able to...
Me, myself, I built the system. I have paid.
Yes.
When he came to meet me, I was watching in my office. He said, oh, but I also want to watch you so that I can monitor. I said,
you can watch on your phone. You can watch
Make sure, and you are supposed to be watching because I'll be calling you for reports.
Yes.
So pay for it. If you have a business, you pay for it. My lounge, if I buy Coke, I pay for it.
Yeah.
So we have to treat ourselves that way.
Okay.
My brother pays for it. Even if you are my wife and you buy water, you will pay for it because the business must grow.
Yeah, but that is the kind of lifestyle that a lot of people here in Ghana don't appreciate.
But we have to appreciate. You see, you do a concert for a musician, and then the musician will bring Nebusian something in.
Yeah, with a squad and boys.
Oh, these people, they are my friends. You have to give. By the time you realize you've distributed half of the tickets.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bring money back. And when the money doesn't come back, it means you are not going to get money to do that show again. Business is not a perpetual motion machine.
Okay.
That when you put money in, you don't put money in again. When you put money in, you have to put money in again. That's why that money you put in has to come back. So that you have to put it back in.
Okay. Now, away from that, if you're on Instagram, you might notice your feed flooded with black and white images of women, along with the hashtag challenge accepted and hashtag women supporting women. Now, the viral campaign is a way for women to show off their appreciation for other women who inspire and support each other. While its origins are unclear, though there was in 2016, there was tied to raising cancer awareness. The goal is to just share some positivity during the pandemic. Now, women from all walks of life, famous and not so famous, are posting selfies with positive affirmations about the importance of supporting and inspiring other women. They are also nominating other women to do the same on their own Instagram account, and as many as 3 million people have posted black and white photos with the hashtag challenge accepted or hashtag women supporting women hashtags. Okay, so if you have not posted your photo yet, there's still time. You can post your black and white photo and nominate another woman that you want to appreciate. We are all appreciating each other during this pandemic. And that's all we have for Showbiz for this morning. My name is Kadi. Willand?
Yeah, no, wait. I'm trying to understand you people. Professor Nana Jane Opoku was just nominated. You people are not supporting her.
We're supporting her. She's part.
Where's the black and white photo?
No, somebody has to nominate her. So
you women.
She can also post her own photo and nominate someone.
Jesus Christ of Aladura, Nazareth, John.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That bit. And please make sure that you join us for News Decks and also JN Today. We'll give you some live interactions within the period as well. Thank you for I love your red.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, get interactive throughout the rest of the day and do enjoy your time. We'll be here same time, 6 to 9 tomorrow.